A trade the Toronto Raptors proposed to LA Lakers has been leaked, and it seems once again the Lakers have fumbled the bag on a potential deal with the Toronto Raptors. So we'll break that down in this video, as well as a whole bunch of injury updates for this Raptors team, including Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent Jr., Chris Boucher, Otto Porter Jr., pretty well everyone that's been out on this roster. So we have that and a whole bunch more to cover in this vid. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here at the Raptors Digest, breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news. And folks, I'm still a little bit sick on this video, so I apologize if I continue to sound weird on these pods, but appreciate all you guys still checking out the vids. But let's dive straight into the news. The first thing we're taking a look at is a leaked trade between the Toronto Raptors and the LA Lakers has been revealed. Now, the Lakers and Raptors have randomly, I don't know if we've had many trades. I don't know if there's ever been a trade made between the Raptors and Lakers. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I can't remember it off the top of my head. But there's been a lot of rumors about potential packages that may have been sent, that have been offered, that have been proposed in recent years. And we've speculated on it on previous videos. We've talked about it. And one guy the Raptors have had a lot of interest in acquiring over the past few seasons has been Talen Horton-Tucker, and we've made multiple videos on it covering over the past couple seasons when the rumors came out, speculating on the potential packages that have gone on. And this summer, the LA Lakers ended up dealing Talen Horton-Tucker away from their team to the Utah Jazz for basically Patrick Beverley, who was, a minor throw-in. I know he's still solid, but not really an upper echelon player in the league at this point in his career, even if his energy and stuff he provides is pretty solid. But they sold low on Talen Horton-Tucker, and people are bringing up, especially the LA Lakers struggles, the missed trades that they have made in the past. Buddy Hield one is popular. People talk about, they decided to acquire Westbrook and, send a lot more assets that way than acquiring Buddy Hield from the Sacramento Kings. But one that was revealed, that was leaked yesterday, was a deal with the Toronto Raptors. As it turns out, the Raptors were that the Lakers rejected a trade last season that would have sent Talen Horton-Tucker to Toronto for a first-round pick. And I heard the full interview from the guy. He basically said it would have been a first-round pick, as well as Khem Birch going to LA, which honestly probably would have been a valuable piece for the LA Lakers at this point as well. But and Talen Horton-Tucker coming back for us. And when this trade leaked, because we've sort of known this, we've known the Raptors made their offers for Talen Horton-Tucker couple seasons ago for Kyle Lowry. Then last year, the asking price went down, but we weren't sure what the specific deal was. There's rumors that Chris Boucher may have been involved in a specific package, but he would have ended up going to the Knicks. But we do know now that the Lakers would have ended up receiving Khem Birch and a first-round pick for Talen Horton-Tucker, which has a lot of Raptors fans just happy that it didn't go down, because Masai Ujiri always seems to be like a guy that's finessing people in whatever moves he ends up making. But then you hear about the deals that other teams end up declining, and they're usually pretty bad for us. Like a few of the very popular ones in Raptors history have been Kyle Lowry going to the New York Knicks back in 2014 instead, and the Raptors be receiving Tim Hardaway Jr., Iman Shumpert, and like a pick or two from the Knicks. We also sent one for Bojan Bogdanovic back then, to the Nets for Kyle Lowry, and then obviously the Raptors continue to play well, and then we had that magical 2014 end of the regular season run, had a great playoff series against the Brooklyn Nets that season. That really was the start of the modern day Toronto Raptors era, where we had Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan take our team from the mud, and we've been great with the exception of the season in Tampa ever since. So those were a couple of bad deals, and then this one here now is coming from the LA Lakers. I get why we were interested in Talen Horton-Tucker. He's long, he's wiry, he can knock down threes and all those things, but for the Utah Jazz, currently, he's not been that productive. Now, in the last week or so, he's kind of taken his game a little bit from where it was at the start of the season, but the Jazz were expected to be a tanking team, and they've had a bunch of guys on their roster overperform. And one dude that hasn't has been Talen Horton-Tucker. So the fact that we didn't end up giving a first-round pick up for him, which I don't know if the Thaddeus Young deal would have ended up going down, but that's probably the pick we're giving up. But we don't get Koloko, and we might even like a future asset potentially. So very happy that that deal didn't go down, and hopefully, teams continue to decline Masai Ujiri's bad offers, and fair that they're getting finesse. But maybe this is even the Toronto Raptors leaking these deals, leaking this data because makes Masai Ujiri feel more human, and then teams are more willing to make a trade with him. So, that's I found that pretty interesting. But the next thing that's pretty important for this Toronto Raptors team going forward is a massive injury update for a lot of Raptors stars. Now, the Raptors have been without like half their roster in recent games, and we took the Atlanta Hawks to overtime in the most recent outing. We were a missed layup away from winning that game, and the Raptors have been playing well, even though they've been undermanned. But we got an update on a lot of the Raptors players that have been out today, coming from Eric Kareen, and the first big one is Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Boucher are both back at practice for today. So it seems they were out with, as I said, a non-COVID illness. So we expect those two guys to be playing in upcoming games. I don't imagine Gary Trent Jr. has had that hip issue, so that could potentially come back. But the fact that they're practicing, I'd imagine, means they'll be back for our upcoming outing this Wednesday. But we did get an update on some of our guys that we knew were going to be out for a longer term. And basically, Pascal Siakam was doing non-contact work today, but he all but certainly won't be available Wednesday. So the fact that Eric Green's even saying that they're bringing up the game because he was a guy that was expected to be out 2, 3, 4 weeks, is encouraging, but don't expect him back immediately. Don't think there's an imminent return for Pascal Siakam, but he's doing non-contact work, which is positive. But Precious Achiuwa does not have a walking boot on, but he is ways away according to Nick Nurse, which is positive. And then Trent is past his injury. Bit of a grammar error there, or I just can't read. And then apparently there's no lingering ankle concerns for Scotty Barnes. So that's a big one there as well, because Scotty Barnes had a scary ankle roll at the end of last outing. Ended up coming back, but struggled in those last 7 minutes that he had of action. Obviously missed that layup and ran a lot of ISOs and stuff. Just couldn't get his touch to go since returning to the game. But I think that's just more of a rhythm thing. You get sent out, you get an injury scare. Makes sense. You're not going to be in the same rhythm you were in prior. But positive to hear Scotty Barnes' ankle's okay, but we've been hearing that all season. It feels like he's limping every second game. So take that with a grain of salt. And then I don't have the tweet pulled up, but we do have an Otto Porter Jr. injury update as well. And apparently he's still in that boot for the toe injury he's dealing with. So don't expect a quick return there from Otto Porter Jr. either. So still a lot of injuries the Raptors are going to be dealing with in the upcoming games, but I trust our roster to be able to weather the storm and continue to provide at least strong outings, right? Strong performances against the teams we face up against. But it'd be nice to get a couple wins, because that Eastern Conference is jam-packed right now. And with the exception of the Bucks and Celtics, where I said top 3 seed from the start of the year, I think that's very reasonable. We just need to rack up a few wins while we're in this tumultuous part of the year in terms of injuries. But let me know what you guys think about the Raptors' upcoming games and all the injuries we have going on. But the next thing we're discussing is Bleacher Report calls out the Toronto Raptors starting lineup. Now, the Raptors have a very interesting starting unit because we clearly play our best 5 guys in terms of our regular starters. It's Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. Their positions seem to change every night, what they're listed as, but Siakam, OG are like your de facto center at that point. OG's usually guarding the biggest guy on the court. Scotty can. We switch everything, but that's a small starting unit. And even though it's our best 5 players, even though it's the lineup we probably close games with, especially if everyone's hot, it's not been looking like the most effective lineup. And Bleacher Report named us number 1 in terms of an article that they put out, the starting lineups that need to be changed. They had this to say. They showed the starting lineup, and they essentially said that they're a -7 in 148 possessions, which is the 24th percentile. They broke down how Gary Trent Jr. is more of a natural fit coming off the bench, his scoring prowess, and the Raptors have a lot of guys, whether it be Precious Achiuwa, Chris Boucher, or Christian Koloko, that can really be a natural center for the current roster. So Bleacher Report saying that we need to change up the starting unit. Gary Trent Jr., by all accounts, by a lot of commenters saying that he'd be the guy that's moved to the bench if we were to shake up that starting unit. But what the numbers don't show, what the nuance doesn't show, is Gary Trent Jr. in his couple seasons with the Toronto Raptors, when he's come off the bench, has just looked brutal. He's looked very, very bad. Whether it's a mental thing or confidence thing, who really knows? But we look better when Gary Trent Jr. is in that starting lineup because he traditionally plays better. Now, he's been cold in his recent outings, so maybe that change of pace, getting him up against the bench unit, might actually turn his game around. So I get where it's coming from, because Gary Trent Jr. just seems like a guy that's skill set is more suited to be coming off the bench, be an offensive spark plug coming in. But he's a guy that's in a contract season, I believe, so, or fighting for that bag, so I don't think he'd be too happy getting that bench reputation when he wants to, get that contract up. So we'll see what ends up happening there for this Raptor starting unit. And the final thing we're discussing in this vid is a former Toronto Raptor showing love to the city. Now, one guy that wasn't very good there for a while and then slowly started to win over the hearts of some Raptors fans was the Stanimal Stanley Johnson. Obviously left our team, was on the Lakers, is on the Utah Jazz right now. But he was asked in like a Q&A he had going on his Twitter, for away games, what cities do you always look forward to playing in? What's your favorite city in general? He just threw out the six. Talking about the Toronto city, talking about, showing love to Toronto out there. Someone responded with the LeBron meme saying, I knew that he'd end up saying Toronto, and they said, yeah, I don't even know why it was a question. So it's cool to see former Raptors showing love for the city. The more people we get talking up the city, the more free agents we might be able to pull or keep around. So positive stuff. But folks, you guys are the best to make this far. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It means the world to us. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.